There is a lie about money that almost everyone believes, and you have probably heard it hundreds of times too. Since childhood, people repeated a simple rule to you: work hard, put in more effort than others, and one day you will become rich. It sounds logical, it sounds fair, but there is a small problem. If this rule were truly correct, some of the richest people in the world would be construction workers, drivers, nurses, or any professional who spends the entire day working nonstop. So why doesn't that happen? Why do millions of people work more than 8, 10, or even 12 hours a day and still struggle to build wealth and achieve financial freedom? The answer is uncomfortable, but liberating. The money game has changed, and almost no one told you the new rules. And when you understand these rules, something curious happens. You start to realize that maybe the problem was never a lack of effort. Maybe the problem was following a path that was never designed to create real wealth. But before we continue, comment something below. Do you believe working hard really leads to wealth, or do you think there is something more behind it? Leave your comment, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because what you are about to discover might completely change the way you see work, money, and wealth. Throughout your life, you have probably heard the same phrase repeated as if it were an absolute truth. Work hard and one day you will become rich. Teachers said it, bosses repeated it, and even family members sincerely believed in this idea. It sounds like a simple rule. Effort creates money, and money creates wealth. But when someone starts observing the real world carefully, something strange begins to appear. Millions of people work every single day without stopping, and still struggle to pay their bills at the end of the month. It is curious to notice that some of the hardest working people in the world are rarely the ones who build great wealth. Think about a rideshare driver who drives 12 hours a day, or someone who spends years working overtime in a traditional job. These people work extremely hard, sometimes even harder than executives and entrepreneurs. Yet financial freedom always seems far away. This raises an uncomfortable question. If hard work were truly the direct path to wealth, why do so many dedicated people remain stuck in the same place? Over time, some people begin to notice a detail that almost no one talks about. The system has always encouraged the idea of constant effort, but it rarely explained how money actually grows in the modern world. Most people were taught to pursue security, study, get a stable job, work for decades, and hope everything turns out fine. The problem is that this formula was created for a type of economy that has changed dramatically. And well, when the rules change, continuing to play the old way may not take you very far. There is a small story that illustrates this perfectly. A man spent 20 years working at the same company, always believing that his dedication would be rewarded. He arrived early, left late, and was known as the most reliable employee in the department. But one day the company was sold and everything changed within a few months. That was when he realized something important. Effort is valuable, but wealth rarely comes from effort alone. Usually it appears when money starts working, not only when the person works. From experiences like this, a question begins to emerge that completely changes how people see the financial world. If working hard is not the real secret to building wealth, then what truly separates people who accumulate assets from those who spend their lives chasing more work? And it is exactly when this question appears that something even more interesting begins to reveal itself. For much of the last century, the idea of working hard actually worked for many people. There was a clear model of progress. You studied, got a stable job, and spent years building a career within the same company. Gradually, your salary increased, promotions appeared, and financial stability seemed closer and closer. It was like climbing a ladder, one step at a time, with patience and dedication. In that context, hard work really did seem to lead to prosperity. This model became so strong that it practically turned into a life manual. Many families taught exactly the same path. Get a good job, stay loyal to the company, work harder than everyone else, and eventually the money will come. And for decades that worked. People bought homes, raised their children, and even built some wealth simply by following this simple formula. It was not explosive wealth, but it was consistent growth that provided security. But the world changed, and it changed fast. Today, companies appear and disappear within just a few years. Technologies replace entire professions. Digital platforms transform entire markets overnight. What once took 30 years to happen can now change in 3. In this new environment, relying only on the old traditional career model can feel like trying to navigate with a map from another century. A clear example of this can be seen in large companies that, decades ago, promised lifetime stability. Many of them simply stopped existing or drastically reduced their workforce. People who spent 20 or 30 years dedicated to a single system suddenly discovered that the game had changed. The effort was there, the dedication too, but the path to wealth did not follow that effort. At this point, an important realization begins to emerge. Maybe the problem is not a lack of effort. Maybe the problem is that many people are still using an old work model in a world that now operates with completely different rules. And when someone starts to notice this shift, a new question naturally arises. If the system has changed, what is the real limit of simply working more? At some point, almost everyone notices something curious about traditional work. No matter how much effort someone puts in, the day still has only 24 hours. This creates a silent limit that many people never stop to analyze. A person can work more hours, accept more tasks, or even take 2 jobs, but there is still an invisible ceiling to the amount of money they can earn. This is a simple yet powerful detail that explains why hard work alone rarely leads to true wealth. Imagine someone who gets paid by the hour. Even if that person is extremely dedicated, the equation remains the same. Time exchanged for money. If they work 8 hours, they get paid for 8 hours. If they work 12, they earn a little more. But there will always be a physical, mental, and emotional limit to how much work can fit into a day. It is like trying to fill a bucket with a spoon. You might work quickly, but the volume remains limited. Now compare that to another reality that is beginning to appear in the modern world. Some people create something once, a digital business, an online course, an investment, or even a video on the internet. And it continues generating income many times after it is finished. While one person is tied to the clock, another begins discovering something called passive income or financial scale. And that is where the game begins to change completely. A simple example helps visualize this. A freelancer might serve 10 clients per day at most, but a content creator can publish a video that reaches 100,000 people while they are sleeping. An investor can buy stocks or financial assets that continue growing over the years without requiring constant presence. In this case, money stops depending only on the number of hours worked. When someone begins to understand this invisible limit, a new idea appears almost like a reality shock. Maybe the problem is not working too little or too much. Maybe the problem is depending only on your own time to grow financially. And if that is true, then something even more interesting appears to explore. What exactly allows some people to multiply results without multiplying effort? At some point in the financial journey, a distinction appears that completely changes the way people see money. On one side are people who trade time for income. On the other are those who learn to use something called financial leverage. The difference may seem small at first, but in practice it creates 2 completely different paths to building wealth. While many people work more hours to earn more, others begin building ways to earn even when they are not working. Leverage essentially means using tools that multiply results without requiring the same amount of effort. Think about someone who creates an online business, for example. At the beginning, that person works a lot to set everything up: product, system, marketing. But once the structure is ready, money can keep coming in even when they are not directly involved at that moment. The initial effort becomes a kind of engine that keeps running. Another classic example appears in the investment world. When someone buys stocks, real estate funds, or participates in businesses that generate dividends, capital begins working alongside the person. Of course, this requires study, strategy, and long-term vision. Many investors learn these ideas from books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki or The Warren Buffett Way, inspired by the legendary investor Warren Buffett. These ideas show how money can begin generating more money over time. There is also a powerful type of leverage called intellectual property, a book, software, course, or even a video can reach thousands, sometimes millions of people. Unlike traditional work, which depends directly on physical presence, this type of asset can grow without such strict limits. This is when effort stops being just effort and starts turning into something that continues producing value. And when someone begins to understand this concept, an even deeper realization appears. Maybe the real difference between busy people and truly prosperous people is not the amount of work they do, but the type of structure they build around their work. And it is exactly at this point that an even more intriguing question appears. After all, if so many people work hard and create value, who actually keeps the largest portion of that value? There is a silent reality in the world of wealth that few people notice at the beginning of their professional lives. Many people work hard, produce incredible results, and help companies grow, but most of the money generated by that effort rarely stays with them. At first, this seems strange, almost unfair. After all, if someone is creating so much value with their work, why does most of the reward go to someone else or to another structure? The answer lies in something that is almost never taught in school. Whoever controls the system usually captures most of the value. Think about large technology companies, for example. Thousands of employees work daily to develop products, serve customers, and keep everything running. But when the company grows billions in market value, those who accumulate most of the wealth are the owners, shareholders, and investors who hold a piece of that system. This also happens with digital platforms. A creator may produce amazing content, a driver may work hours on an app, a seller may generate thousands in online sales. But the platform that connects everything, the system, captures a constant percentage of every transaction. That is why companies like Uber, Amazon, and YouTube can grow on a massive scale. They control the infrastructure where value circulates. This does not mean working inside these systems is wrong. In fact, many people build great careers this way. The important point is realizing that there is a huge difference between participating in a system and owning part of the system. When someone begins owning assets, whether stocks, business equity, personal businesses, or investments, something interesting happens. Money begins to flow in a different direction. And when this realization finally appears, many people begin questioning something that once seemed obvious. If working hard inside a system does not necessarily guarantee prosperity, then simply working more may not be the answer either. And that is exactly where a curious cycle appears that traps millions of people without them even noticing. When someone realizes that their money is not growing as expected, the most common reaction seems logical: work even more. Many people believe that if they increase their effort, work extra hours, or accept more responsibilities, financial prosperity will finally arrive. It is almost an automatic reflex. After all, since childhood, they were taught that hard work is the path to a better life. But there is a curious detail in this reasoning. The more someone dives only into traditional work, the less time they have to learn new things, explore opportunities, or develop different sources of income. Gradually, the day becomes completely filled with urgent tasks. And when that happens, financial growth begins to depend more and more on continuous effort, as if the person were running on a treadmill that never stops. A very common example happens with highly dedicated professionals who spend years focused only on their careers. They become excellent at what they do, gain experience, and even increase their income. But they remain trapped in the same time for money model. Meanwhile, other people start using part of their time to study investments, learn about assets, create small businesses, or build passive income streams. Some people discover this when they begin studying financial education. Books like The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason or Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker reveal something interesting. Building wealth requires setting aside time to create assets, not just to work. Small decisions like investing regularly, learning about markets, or developing a side project can completely change a financial future. And it is at this point that many people experience a true moment of clarity. Maybe the problem was never a lack of effort. Maybe the problem was placing all effort only into work, without building structures that multiply the results of that effort. When this idea begins to make sense, a new question naturally arises. If working more does not solve the problem, then what actually builds wealth in the long run? After observing all of this, some people begin to realize that wealth does not come only from effort, but from structure. It is like planting a tree. At first it seems small and slow, but over time it grows and begins producing fruit almost on its own. In the financial world, something similar happens. Those who learn to build certain pillars begin to notice that money stops depending exclusively on their time. The first of these pillars is scale. Scale means creating something that can reach many people at the same time. A digital business, for example, can sell a product to hundreds or thousands of customers without multiplying effort in the same proportion. Content creators, online entrepreneurs, and technology developers use this principle constantly. A single product can generate income repeatedly, expanding the potential for growth. The second pillar is ownership. When someone owns part of what generates value, the game changes completely. Investors who buy shares of companies like Apple or Microsoft, for example, begin participating in the results of those businesses. Even if the person does not work directly for those companies, their growth can increase personal wealth over time. That is when capital begins working alongside the person. The third pillar is systems. Systems are structures that continue functioning even when you are not present all the time. It can be an automated business, an investment portfolio, a digital product, or even a company with a structured team. When these systems are built well, money begins circulating with less direct dependence on daily effort. When someone understands these three elements, scale, ownership, and systems, something begins to change in the way they see work and their financial future. The goal stops being simply working more and becomes building something that grows over time. And it is exactly at this point that a new realization about how the modern world really works begins to appear. If someone could travel back in time a few decades, they would notice that the rules of money were very different. Back then, many careers followed a predictable path. Years of dedication, gradual salary increases, and a relatively secure retirement at the end of the journey. Today, however, the landscape has changed dramatically. The digital economy, globalization, and technology have created an environment where wealth depends not only on effort, but mainly on strategy. In the modern world, hard work still has value. No one builds anything meaningful without dedication. But there is an important detail. Effort needs to be connected to something that has leverage. This means that each hour of work can generate results that go far beyond that single hour. Digital entrepreneurs, investors, and content creators understood this early. They began building assets, systems, and projects that continue producing value over time. Think about someone who creates an online course, develops software, or consistently invests in strong companies. At first, progress may seem slow, but over time, the accumulated effect begins to appear. Many investors follow strategies inspired by names like Charlie Munger or Benjamin Graham, who defended something simple yet powerful: building wealth through assets that grow over the years. Another fundamental aspect of this new rule of the game is distribution. Today, a single idea can reach millions of people thanks to the internet. Digital platforms allow someone anywhere in the world to build a business, share knowledge, or sell products globally. This creates opportunities that simply did not exist for previous generations. The potential for financial scale has become much larger. And when someone combines these elements, leverage, assets, ownership, and distribution, work stops being only repeated effort. It becomes something that can grow, multiply, and evolve over time. But there is still one final realization that definitively separates two very different ways of living a professional life. There is a curious moment in the financial journey when two people may appear to be following very similar paths. But in reality, they are heading toward completely different destinations. Both work, both make an effort, both want a better life. The difference is that one lives constantly busy while the other begins building wealth. At first glance, almost no one notices this difference. Busy people usually believe the secret is simply doing more. More working hours, more tasks, more responsibilities. The day becomes full, the schedule always packed, and the feeling of productivity is always present. But deep down, money continues depending directly on the amount of time invested. When the work stops, the income stops too. People who begin building financial prosperity ask a different question. Instead of asking only, "How can I work more?" they start asking, "How can I make this work without always depending on my time?" This shift in mindset naturally leads to the creation of assets, investments, and systems. Gradually, effort starts building something that continues generating value. Some famous investors emphasize this idea strongly. Warren Buffett himself often says that if someone does not find a way to make money while they sleep, they will probably work for the rest of their lives. This phrase does not mean stopping work. It means learning to build structures where initial effort turns into something that keeps producing results. And when someone finally understands this difference, something changes deeply in the way they see their own future. The goal stops being simply surviving the next month and becomes building something that grows over the years. Because in the end, wealth rarely belongs to the person who works the most. It tends to appear for those who build things that keep working even when they decide to stop for a moment. After understanding all of this, a question begins to appear almost automatically in the mind of anyone who is really paying attention. If working more is not the path to wealth, then what will you do differently from now on? Maybe the biggest change is not how much you work, but what you build while you work. Is part of your time being used to create assets, learn about investments, develop skills that can generate scalable income, or build something that continues functioning even when you are not there? Small decisions repeated over the years can completely transform your financial future. Think about it carefully. 5 or 10 years from now, do you want to be in the same cycle of simply trading time for money? Or would you rather look back and realize that you started building something bigger? A business, an investment portfolio, a project that grows over time. Anything that allows money to start working alongside you instead of depending only on you. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these ideas opened your mind the most today? Was it understanding the limit of work, the power of leverage, or the importance of building assets? Tell me in the comments, because your answer might help other people who are also trying to understand how to truly build wealth in the modern world. And if you want to keep learning about money, financial freedom, wealth mindset, and strategies that actually work, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you will not miss the next videos that might completely change the way you see work, money, and prosperity. Because in the end, the most important question is not how much you work. It is what your work is building for your future.